So the picture you see is in actual fact the original fight poster from Leeds 1992. Of course, Sykes's face has been put over that poster. Um, it was a huge event, Elland Road. Leeds, in actual fact, had just become champions of England. So this boxing event was the who's who. Every boxing face you could think of was there. Harry Carpenter, Reg Guttridge, uh, Frank Bruno was there ringside. All the Leeds United team, Eric Cantona, Gordon Strachan. It was a huge event. Boxing had been missing in Leeds for quite some time. And Mickey Duff was promoting there was Hellbomber Graham was on, Henry Wharton. Nick Manners, a guy whose book I've just literally finished and will be releasing. It was a huge event, and it ended a lot of it in mayhem, and that was hugely down to Paul Sykes. I spoke to John Spenceley, who we lost a couple of weeks back, and he said to me he was very close to Sykes from about 77 onwards. But that was the time he kind of cut his ties with him. He said, he's seen him, 1992. And he was just going around, beer burgling. And he said to his brother Tony, he said, oh my God, there's Sykes, you don't let him see me. Because he did have a lot of love for Paul. But, John was a wealthy guy. And, he just said, he did like Paul, but a lot of his business friends just wouldn't have got him. And by then Sykes had he was, as probably as bad as he was. I don't mean in a kind of the unkept tramp sense. I just mean he was, it was only 2 years after that documentary. So he was at his probably most volatile and unpredictable. And anyway, the show was, there was loads of fights. And one of the talking points, I suppose, was what happened when Paul Sykes turned up. Nick Manners was warming up with what was a guy called Jason Pretty Boy Barker. Sadly, no longer with us. I think he passed away earlier this year. And Sykes, basically, Nick said, all of a sudden I just felt the atmosphere change, and there was loads of security guards like around the tunnel, and all of a sudden they just opened up. It was like almost Moses of the Red Sea. And Paul Sykes had kind of turned up and, said, I use lads boxers like, and Nick's kind of thought, well, he's gloved up, ready to be boxed, and he said, well, that's pretty obvious, but I'm not going to tell you that. And, Sykes he was kind of, Brendan Ingle was there and warming him up, and, Sykes he caused a disturbance everywhere he went. And Jason Barker, Jason's nickname, God rest him, was Jason Pretty Boy Barker. And for obvious reasons, so Sykes kind of walked up to him, looked him in the eye and said, I'd rather F you than fight you. Basically kind of, I suppose this was maybe not so much as a come on, but it was the last thing you needed to hear when you were just ready to box. Brendan Ingle heard it. Brendan was a man who took no shit, and was very familiar with Sykes, and kind of scattered him, if you like, told him to F off, and Brendan wouldn't back down for many people. He was a tough middleweight in his time, back in a time as a pro in the 60s and the 70s when boxing was, you had to be a tough man to... Anyway, and basically Sykes kind of continued his, how can I put it, being over enthusiastic to Nick Manners, which I'm not going to spoil the book, but it ended up with Nick completely knocking Sykes cold, dragging him in a shower, and thinking, my God, I've killed Paul Sykes. If he's going to wake up and kill me in a minute. And I'll leave that all for the book. But that's what kind of happened. And Sykes caused absolute mayhem that night. I spoke to one of the police officers that night, and because they were expecting trouble. Henry Wharton was Had a lot of his travel community kind of coming, and he was fighting a guy called Frank Grant. So it was like a local Yorkshire derby, if you like. And Sykes got inside the ring and offered all the travelling community out. He was just intent on causing mayhem, havoc, chaos, and destruction. And you'll read all about it in Nick's book. Front, gotta get through this. It was a huge. I mean, Josh Warrington ended up fighting in Leeds, 2018. I think it was about 23,000 there that night. But this was it was open air. I think it was about 13,000 people. It was on television on a Wednesday night, sports night, and Mickey Duff was there with a Leeds top on, and this was a huge event of the year, certainly in the Yorkshire boxing industry. And it was kind of caused and ruined a lot by Paul Sykes, which you will read in front. Gotta get through this. Let us know your comments below. Were you there? Let us know what your thoughts are. Thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget to click and subscribe, and have a wonderful New Year's Eve.